reported near your location.
Received. Moving to intercept.
This is London Calling. You're listening to me, Tash, on Buccaneer.
Control,
your
we are
source for what
unsighted
they
of
don't
suspects.
want to know.
Over.
This time we're turning our focus back on the media to look at my former employer, the GBB. As we know, the broadcasting has been through a lot of changes.
Take the vehicle out, now!
They've been to pressure for its corporate backers and privatise the corporation. Today, the GBB is
All units, target is now on foot. Over.
How did we get...
Someone help me!
Control, we are pursuing the
Our
suspect.
experts speak on conditions of anonymity for their own safety. Here's disinformation and media expert Charles, who's seen free broadcasting built up by journalists and torn down by demagogues all over the world.
So before the media fragmented, there was this voice of authority that was trusted and worthy of trust. Then what we end up with is a really commercial model where whether you're talking about an app on a smart device or whether you're talking about a broadcaster, the most important thing is to keep you in that environment for the longest amount of time possible. And
Control,
that
we're heading
money
back.
from their pocket. And in order to do that, a couple of things happen. One was the use of manipulated techniques.
The suspect reported in your area, potentially armed and hostile. Received. Watching for suspect. GBB reporting.
We ended up in a situation where nobody trusted anything and nobody believed anything at all.
There's our suspect. Over.
The perfect environment for an authoritarian voice to come in and say, no, wait, we are the truth. So the ground for this environment really got created when we had
No sign of the target.
authoritarian
Over.
politicians everywhere. And anything that threatened them or they disagreed with, they would call it disinformation. That's
Eyes on
disinformation.
target.
That's fake
They've
news.
crossed checkpoint.
And again, we got in a situation where nobody really
We are
believed
in
anything.
pursuit.
And
I say
the trouble
again,
is if
in
you were telling
pursuit.
the truth, it's very hard to get your message to cut through all of the noise of all of the disinformation that's there. So like, you know, you remember Out on the Edges, there was this story about when
Return
they would
into
take
HQ.
a house by
Search
force,
terminated.
they would take any infants and they would crucify them. And that's a great, fantastic, viral story. And how do you counter that story? With the truth. The only way you can counter it is by saying, no, they didn't. And of course, no one wants to spread that story. No one wants to hear that story. They want to hear the sensationalism. They want to hear how people were victims of violence when in fact they weren't. Or they were victims of insurgent forces when in fact they weren't.
The news isn't neutral, it's a battleground. Here's media researcher and academic Alfie.
The media has, of course, been perhaps the key way in which governments have controlled and influenced their populations. So, totalitarian countries have typically used huge mainstream media outlets to sell one kind of news, one kind of biased news to its population. Of course, the media has always played this kind of key role in methods of state control. I think what's happening now is perhaps even more concerning, where you've previously been pre-crisis Britain, you had perhaps more diverse voices in the media, but now with the GBB, you're really only seeing one brand of news and therefore only getting one truth. So people end up with a very biased and controlled idea of the reality and the world that we're actually living in. There was, of course, many concerns and many problems, but in a way there were some positive things that, like, not all information was coming from one part.
And so you have far media outlets developing and left media outlets.
You what? Send help!
I've downloaded a patch to your optics so you can access our security system. It's set up so that I...
Wasn't expecting that. What?
This ends bad for you, friend. Don't say no more.
You're kidding.
Hey, just don't ignore me. I refuse to put up with this.
Well, quite a statement.
Can I help you? Why is this happening to me right now? Take a breath. We promise it'll help. Take a breath and look at what you're doing. What? Hello. We promise it'll help.
What's the crack?
Huh?
What's the crack?
I'm not gonna let my blood boil over this. I refuse to put up with this. No. The fuck? I sick of this shite. I refuse to put up with this.
What do you want?
You look like a dick. Out of the way.
They've got a gun.
Units, possible hostiles near your location. Received. Will engage if necessary. All units, we are after the suspect. Confirmed suspect has a gun, over.
Call her for the sake of argument. Alice?
Sorry, Andy, I was busy reporting you to the authorities for rolling your eyes when passing a Nigel Cass propaganda poster.
Could you not let me report you first, please? Let's have some decorum about this.
Target has crossed a checkpoint.
Photo so they can get a drone to pick you out of the crowd at your next riot,
We're on their tail.
trip to the
Over.
shops, or walk in the woods. And you can input your accusations with the app. Let's call the phone line. Let's call the phone line. Here's the number, listeners, in case you want to dock someone in, as long as it's not me. 0044-207-3832. And don't forget to get the permission of the person who pays your bill.
Returning to an accident, stand by.
Hey, I'd like to report my co-host Andrew, who runs an underground satirical anti-government comedy show, for running and co-hosting an underground satirical anti-government comedy show. Also, he does terrible puns.
Some evidence for it. She tutted audibly at an Albion vehicle in the street yesterday. She says she prefers pigeons to green drones. Resident drone would trap on a picnic. And what's more, this is true or not, but I have it on very good authority, so please write this down, that she owns not one, but two unlicensed fallopian tubes, whatever they are.
Control.
But they sound dodgy.
Lost the
If
target.
I had a crypto for every time someone had reported my fallopian tubes, I'd have 3. Sure, I think it converts to about 120,000 Great British pounds in the old money.
We'll report back in the next episode about when we've been arrested and
Received.
interned.
Returning to HQ.
I mean, I love
Over.
this system, Alice. I mean, no more awkward, rumbling resentments with your neighbours, your colleagues, or what into telling your family. You just got to do. And be done with it. But if it took back far, I mean, they're taking you a family, you never did.
To dodge my friend's destination weddings in Italy. There's nothing worse than being asked to spend the equivalent of a motorbike on some sort of boat-based farce in Sorrento, and I always used to really enjoy saying, oh no, I can't afford it. Now they're all getting married in Brighton and I have to go to that alleged beach. It's made of rocks, Andy. If your sandcastle is an actual castle, that's not a beach.
I'll tell you what I miss. I miss free will. That was fun. Remember that? I mean, was it an illusion all the time? Who cares? It felt fun. I miss cash. Particularly coins. I really miss coins. The fun of doing a heads or tails best of 5 to see if you have to go to the gig, and then the best of 7, the best of 5.
Oh, hang on. This is why I hate people. Take 2 steps back.
Good to see you.
Bugger off. That's not very funny. maybe back up a bit, yeah?
Active shooter! Back off, this is none of your business. All right, everyone, just stay calm.
Easy
Down
does it,
people, there's a
well.
gun. I already told you to leave.
Here's a paper.
Sergeant Call, possible hostile at your location. Suspect is armed. Repeat, suspect is armed.
Control, I'm ready to immobilize the target.
Intelligent friend Bagley's rogue, estranged brother. The one that tells it as it really is, not as it has become to be.
Suspect is on foot. Over. Let's get some more officers on standby. Over.
Bagley.
Hello, Andy.
Bagley, tell me the path to true lasting happiness.
Andy, to find true lasting happiness.
Immobilizing the suspect.
And then lock yourself in a shed forever.
Thanks, Bagley.
There's our suspect.
You know the answer to everything.
Hey, Bugley, how many seashells does she sell by the seashore?
I'm in pursuit of the target.
Is now uninhabitable, so I would highly recommend she sees her doctor before engaging in any commercial proximity to the ocean.
Bugley, how can I stop worrying about being disappeared by Clan Kelly every time I go to the shop, or take the bus, or sit on a bench, or look at a tree, or point at a bird, or think about snooker, or get out of bed?
Andy, do not worry about Clan Kelly.
Why not, Bugley? They terrify me to my very core.
Because, Andy, we're all just lost in the wind of history.
All
That's
units,
nice, but
disengage. Suspect has disappeared.
Hey, Bugley, how do you put a secret hideout in the basement without
Control to all units. Possible hostiles near your location. Monitoring for unusual activity.
Putting an end to the chase now. Civilian is armed. Approach with caution.
Not good.
We are inbound. Stand by.
Control, send emergency vehicles when available.
Received. We are trailing the target.
This area is being recorded by the GBB.
We may need more patrols to attend. Stand by.
There's our target. Over.
Me as well, mate, yeah. I know. Shut me! Control, we have a seriously injured officer.
I'm taking fire!
Control, we're pursuing the suspect. GBB, first on the scene, first to bring you the news. What's taking them so bloody long?
Control, send back up to my location. I repeat, send back up to my location.
This area is being...
Drones deployed to arrest the suspect.
Use a pursuit intervention technique.
Prepare yourself!
Shots fired!
Be advised, we are on the trail. Officer in critical condition. Critical. Over. Control, we are pursuing the suspect. Over.
GBB, first on the scene, first to bring...
Shit! Switching cover!
Control, send more patrols to attend.
British broadcast. Britain's
Blow out the targets!
Control, we are pursuing the target. Right, close this fucker down.
Just give up, will you?
Officer down! Officer down!
Here I come!
Big mistake.
Control, we're in pursuit. Over.
Irritating, you know that? CB, first on the
Shots
scene,
fired!
first
Shots!
to
Ah!
bring the news. We need help! You're outmatched!
Fucking do me!
The suspect was right there a minute ago!
Can hear this is the bar.
Every year, the same old news.
In
Exam
pursuit.
results up,
I repeat,
but
we are in
opportunities down.
pursuit.
Well, here at Ixotec, we believe in rewarding hard work. With entry-level positions, apprenticeships, and conversion
You've reached
courses,
the checkpoint.
we can give you the starting life you've been looking for. Because at Ixotec, we don't just build homes, factories, and offices. We build careers.
Dispatch, deploying drones to apprehend the suspect.
You're listening to the bar.
You're listening to The Bar, the Resistance comedy show brought to you by the Saturday Network. I'm Andy,
Target just crashed their vehicle. Over.
I'm excited to be
Control,
here. Apparently,
we have a
the
visual on the
resistance
suspect.
is not going well.
Well, there has been some news about DedSec, the resistance
Ready to
and
ram the
terrorist
vehicle.
organisation
Over.
that is according to the press. Obviously, according to the
Dave.
activity to the nearest Albion office.
Control units, I say again, all units, we have reports of a hostile in your area, over. Moving to the hostile's location, over.
Cease and desist, or you will be restrained. Cease and desist, or you will be restrained.
Confused.
Warning, continuing unlawful activity will result in arrest.
Please.
Surrender yourself. Failure to comply will result in extreme measures.
Control, we have sighted someone with a firearm. Pursuing the target. Over. All units, force this suspect to stop.
I'm putting an end to this. Over.
Officer down. I say again, officer down.
Reminds me when my great aunt Gladys had her appendix out. Oh, I think that surgeon's a real threat, waggling that knife to knock me out. They call a scalpel.
See, we're going around the target.
If Sir's official said dead set is dead, I guess we have to assume that
We are in pursuit.
But I do worry.
Right, close this
And
fucker
sometimes I
down.
think, is there any hope? Do you still have hope?
I don't think I'm allowed to have hope. We're living in this self-selected, algorithmically designated information equivalent of a propaganda state, and every resistance that I've ever seen is weaker than the British pound. I feel like hope is an expensive thing to buy these days.
Right. I mean, is it all totally pointless? What we've got to have to pointless. I've spent almost all my life on pointless things like watching sport, thinking about sport, thinking about watching sport, learning French and hoping for a better future. All completely pointless. But yeah, I've done it, so we might as well carry on. Is there a light at the end of the tunnel? Yes, I think there is. Unfortunately, what is that light? Is it an oncoming train?
Pursuing the
No, it
target.
couldn't be. Obviously, the train will be late or cancelled. Is the light at the end of the tunnel a burning effigy of the concept of hope? Quite possibly. Is it the soul of Skyloft imploding into its own vacuum? May well be. Is it the ego of Nigel Bass that is now so big that it's sucked all the light in the universe into itself? I think that is most likely.
Can anyone
Is
see
that
the suspect?
We'll never give up, bug fans. This resistance will never die. But one day, we will again be free. Free from these technological chains. Free to choose our own futures. Free to live our own lives.
Control, add suspect to the most wanted list. Over.
Those who do not obey Albion orders. Subject to arrest. Protest. Are not permitted.
Welcome back to The Upload. Today we're talking about cryptocurrency. Crypto now seems like it's been around forever, but it's really quite a new invention. Were you an early adopter?
I was one of the first that was in this market. There seemed to be a new way of financial transactions, a new way of money, something that we could completely reinvent.
All units, I repeat, all units. We have reports of a hostile
There's
in your
a real
area.
shift in the way
Responding to
that the
the call.
world works. Let's
Over.
recap the basics. So, central to cryptocurrency is the distributed ledger technology, the tech that keeps track of all transactions. And what this means is you can have a decentralized system without having to trust any one party, like old-fashioned banks.
One of the reasons why I got involved so early was that you could say anonymous.
Yeah, the features of cryptocurrency very much fit into that early mindset. It was all about finding an alternative to centralized systems. It was kind of a countercultural punk ethos. The whole point of the distributed ledger is you're not trusting any one person to keep a track of who has what money or how they're spending it. It's all out there in the open for anyone to see, and yet you can remain secretive.
But not everybody now wants to keep up this crypto legacy. They don't share this attitude anymore. We've seen institutions, businesses, even governments experimenting with crypto, which doesn't really fit into its original radical counterculture mold.
Yeah, it's kind of weird today to think of people not using cryptocurrency. It's so mainstream now. You know, I'm almost nostalgic for the feel of cash. Good old-fashioned paper and coins. First they changed the paper notes to plastic notes, and now it's just all digital. There's nothing to hold on to.
It was great just to be able to have a little bit of money to carry around with you.
I think the turning point in the UK really came a few years ago when the pound dropped 10% over just one season. People living off grid started using crypto, and just as everyone was losing faith in the pound, they were gaining it in cryptocurrency, which turned out to be much more stable. Kind of opposite to what people thought in the beginning.
And then, of course, of doing finance. A lot of traditional money was converted to crypto, and it really shook up the financial sector.
Can you remember when they first introduced crypto cash points?
That was really sneaky. It was a classic startup behaviour. They just installed them everywhere. No consultation with the government, no approval or anything. But people immediately started to use them.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of how Bloom put out the Optic. They just made it free and flooded the streets with these devices. Suddenly everyone had them.
If there's this great option of tech, people are just going to start using it, no matter the cost.
Parliament actually tried to put a stop to the cash points, but people were using them so much already. It was outrage. I mean, some parts of London were already using crypto as their primary currency by then, and now apparently...
I've downloaded a patch to your optics so you can...
Don't do anything you'll regret.
What's the crack?
Sod the fuck off, yeah?
One of Sabine's, are you? I'll see you downstairs later then.
Open sesame.
Anyone around? Guess not. Let's find the power then.
No DedSec registration detected. Identify yourself, or I'll seal the exits, hack your optic, and read you every drunken email you ever wrote until you starve.
And you'll have to explain my untimely demise to Sabine.
Sabine's alive? Well, that's one piece of good news. I'm Bagley, DedSec's definitely not stolen, highly advanced AI assistant, and it seems I've been out of commission for a few months. Anyway, why don't you go connect me to the DedSec network so I can be more powerful than you could possibly imagine? I mean, catch up on what I missed. Ah, that's it. I'm reconnected to the... Patching in Sabine Brandt now. I suggest you listen very closely to anything she has to say.
There you are. I'm glad you made it. Bagley. God, it's good to hear your demented little voice. Is your memory intact?
Not even slightly. The last record I have is of our HQ being raided. My only lead is a group known as Zero Day. Ring any bells?
No. But the HQ was attacked by some men in black. The same that were at Parliament. Maybe working together. We didn't stand a chance. They just gunned everyone down.
Christ. How did you make it out?
I managed to escape through the sewers to Camden. A contact smuggled me out of the city, and I've been hiding out in the north since.
Prudent. Your profile is red flagged as a high-priority target in the city's surveillance system. Even a partial recognition hit would have you hunted down...